Hello and welcome in. I am Miss Kinghorn and welcome into a brand new Sims 4 speed build. This time we are working on Pinecrest Apartments 402. Last time we did the one next door, which you could just about see the floor plan of in there, and we did that as quite a modern sort of apartment with 2 bedrooms. This one is only going to have 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, just a little bit smaller than last time, but it works quite nicely with our sort of collection of apartments that we're slowly rebuilding across all of the worlds that have them. We've done a couple in San Myshuno with City Living, and then obviously these 2 in here as well, and there'll be many more to come as well, but we've already speeded our way through and are now here in the kitchen of this little apartment. Now we've kind of gone for quite a sort of a dark colour scheme, so we've used a lot of sort of the dark browns, lots of blacks and things like that, and just sort of tiny little pops here and there of colour just to make it look a little bit more realistic in there as well. And this kitchen is tiny. I've got to say it is sort of kind of going to change from what it is at the moment, simply because there's not enough space. But these cabinets or counters and cabinets that we're going to use are relatively new. They're a new swatch to this collection that was added in a couple of years ago, I think, or a year ago, and it's probably my first time really using them. I'm not a fan of them, but I think for this apartment it works brilliantly. So as you can see, we're just sort of cluttering up here and there as we go along, but it's coming together quite nicely. Now when I was doing this floor plan, and I have cut a huge amount, I've got to say, of this floor plan out, I wasn't sure if I wanted the kitchen here or at the back or to the side, because it clips into the windows and from the outside doesn't look very good. But here really was the best solution for the kind of floor plan that I wanted, so this is where it has to go, which I think I've made the best I could out of it, but there are other options which I didn't particularly like. So yeah, we've kind of gone with this one in here, but just rotating these sort of chopping boards or cutting boards up with tool. I don't particularly like them being flat on the wall. They look a little bit weird, I've got to be honest. Then they wouldn't stand up naturally like that, so I thought just rotating them around makes them look a little bit better and more realistic in there for you. Alright, okay, just getting some last little bits, and then we'll get some cabinets in over on this side as well, just a little bit more fake storage for your Sims. One thing I do try to do is make homes as realistic and as sort of livable as I possibly can. So some things you can do in game, some things you can't, but I do try to make the homes look as realistic as we sort of possibly can, where I can, shall we say. Some things you just can't do, but with a nice little kitchen like this I thought we could. And we're going to be using a couple of bits from the new kit as well. I know we use those bar chairs, but I think there's a few lights and things like that as well we use in there. Now this was a really cool idea. This is a Pinterest find, I've got to be honest. This was something that I wanted sort of a room divider in there, and I thought these would work perfectly. Just give that sort of little space an extra sort of kick in there, and just help split this kind of quite a large sort of area at the front of the apartment into a living room and then a little bit of a study kind of writer's area. Because if you noticed by the name of this video, we are building for a writer, and so we need sort of a dedicated little area to have a computer and sort of write whatever, whether they're a journalist, whether they are an author, something like that. I wanted a little bit of space for that. I mean, in here we are going to use the high school chairs or sofa in this nice wicker colour. I haven't used this style before, so I thought the sort of wicker look would go quite nicely, and it has that black sort of texture with the dark colours with little hints of purple coming through as well, which I thought was quite nice in there. Right, grabbing out some bits and pieces for like a TV sort of nook on the other side. In there, right. We're looking for a couple of bits and pieces. Oh yeah, big books. Lots of books this apartment. Wherever I've sort of had space, I've put a book down because I thought it would kind of tie in with what we are going for in here. Right. So let's clutter more up. More clutter. You can never have too much clutter. And a tiny little TV. We didn't really have space for a bigger one, and I thought if it's only going to be really for one person in this apartment, I thought a nice little TV in there would be ideal. And they probably don't spend too much time sitting down watching telly, as they're probably always working or socialising or doing other bits and pieces like that as well. Now these pieces of artwork are actually really brilliant and kind of go really well with the theme that we're trying to get in. So you've got some like magazine sort of covers and then some with some stories on as well. I thought worked perfectly in there. So just kind of coming up with a little bit of a collage kind of look we could get going through into here. Right, they don't all fit on there together, so we're just going to scale those down and kind of just make a little bit of an artwork out of sort of these magazines in there. And okay, having difficulty with the walls as usual in apartments. In there, right. So we've kind of jumped ahead a little bit. I've done a little bit of sort of there's a big artwork piece you can see there on the wall behind, and I put a couple of plants on the window out there as well. And now we're going to come into this sort of a study area over this side. Alright. So, trying to create an area. We didn't really have much space for a desk, so I've kind of had to use some alternative methods for a desk. So you'll see lots of ideas coming up here, but I end up using a shelf that we scale up that will then fit in there with lots of sort of clutter around them as well. Nice big sort of shelving unit, and then it fits brilliantly. And then with tool, all you have to do is scale down the table which the computer is actually on. So you'll see later on, once we get everything sort of into place, that I will tool that down. So it's teeny tiny, you can just sort of see it underneath, but it doesn't clip into anything. And your Sims can still use it. At times they may have to sit on the chair and then use the computer, rather than just click on the PC in this case, because it doesn't sometimes register it, but if you get them to sit in the chair, it then works fine. So there's always workarounds with things like that as well. And then a nice gorgeous sort of office chair coming in it. I feel like they would sit in that chair for a long time, so they would want a nice sort of decent sort of looking chair in there. As we all know, it's one of the many things I have on my to buy list, because mine squeaks. So there you go, you can just sort of see I've scaled down and it's just there at the bottom. Teeny tiny little table in there, and some artwork just to kind of go along high school diplomas and those sorts of bits and pieces to get in as well. A nice little area you can look at your success while you're writing in there. And then some little boards maybe for ideas, suggestions, sort of things for what they are writing on. At least that was my thinking and plan when we were doing that. We didn't really have too much space left in this apartment for a dining area, so we've kind of put in a little nooking over here where the walls sort of pop out a little bit before the bedroom and the bathroom. In that we do obviously have the 2 bar chairs in the kitchen, so that does work as a dining area, but I thought I'd also have a little space somewhere else for them to sit and have a proper meal maybe, or actually sit at the table and eat in there as well. And just get a couple of plants and some other bits and pieces just on the table to make it a little bit more lived in and a little bit more sort of realistic to the person I have in my mind of who lives in this apartment, which is when I was sort of building, and this is something I do occasionally, not all the time, but I do have an idea of the person I would like to be here. So it's probably maybe a young adult. I'm going to go for a male. I think that would probably fit with kind of my idea that I had, who's obviously a bookworm, he's a writer, does a lot of sort of maybe a crime novelist, something like that in my head. That was the plan in my head, and I hope we've kind of made a nice little apartment for them in there. But let me know, who do you, when you look at a house build, whether you look at an apartment, do you have a sim in mind for who you would like to move in there? Whether it's something you download off of the gallery, and the Sims 4 gallery. Do you have a set person in mind, or do you change it to whatever family you are playing in at that time? Right, now here we wanted something kind of round, little plate or something on the table that we could get in to put these candles on. So I've used a clock, rotated it round, turned it up, and I'm just going to pop it there and then place the candles on top of it. It gives it a nice sort of little base. It doesn't mean that they're on the sort of glass top of the table, which obviously is a bit more of a fire risk. So just the 3 in there, like so. And as we have a leaf over the top of a candle, we just had to rearrange a few little bits and pieces in there. Right, a couple of bits of artwork as usual. I'm not quite sure where I'm ever going to use those pieces from high school years. The big sort of long piece artwork pieces or posters. I don't see them ever going in somewhere. And I thought we'd use a few pieces like this in there. Maybe some pictures of some sort of stories here and there, as well as some drawings, which kind of work in there. Right then. Moving on to the bathroom. So this bathroom is actually quite small. I feel like I'm saying that a lot in this video. This apartment is really small, and it was quite a challenge to actually try to work out how to get things in, where I can get things in, how they would look, and things like that. But I feel we've done a good job in there. So it's got the basics. You don't really need too much else in there to sort of get this all started. So just a little couple of bases, sort of clutter, toothbrushes, soap, and things like that. Just making it cozy, homely, and more lived in as well. And there's a little one that someone's forgot to put back in the pot in there. And of course a mirror over the sink in there as well. Right. And just a few bits. In there. Right, so that's looking like just a rug, and then bathroom is done. So we'll head on to the bedroom in there, which again is a bit of a challenge. So tiling, we've kind of got the green. I think the green and that sort of dark sort of wood sort of colours all work quite nicely in there. And I really like those sort of retro old sort of looking tiles as well from the new high school pack. There, right. So bedroom, always starting on the floor, and in this case, coming up with a nice big rug for a nice, again, sort of using the brown kind of colour theme. We had in there, and then obviously this big bed. I was planning on going for the wicker bed, I've got to be honest, and I don't particularly know why I chose this one, but I think it still works for what we have got going on. Right. So kind of using the same sort of matching pieces as well. all of that to come through as well. I ended up maybe not using the bedside table or end table that we would normally do. I feel like having something a little bit taller, a little bit different to come in there. And it still works as a bedside table. I mean, I don't actually have a bedside table. I have a bookshelf, which is next to my bed, which does exactly the same sort of thing as this one does here. It's still got the showing on it. I did try to see if we could incorporate some sort of clothing rack into it, but it didn't really work, so I ended up just having to get a separate dresser in as well. But it all looks okay in there, so using the same one, which we all know I can never find anything. It's right there. There we go. And getting that in at the end over here. This bedroom is sort of basic. It is what it is, and sort of there's no frills bedroom. It's simply a room to go in to sleep and to sort of get dressed, and that's about it. I think you wouldn't spend a lot of time in here. There are a few other bits and pieces, like we do get the sort of wicker chair, hanging chair in as well. But that's more of something you could put your shoes on. You could, when you're getting dressed, doing things like that, I think, in there, and just moving those out so that they are actually on the outside of, or on the inside of this glass sort of panel here. These windows, whilst I love them, are kind of useless because you can't put sort of clutter on them. You can see that they are there. They're a completely different colour because it now thinks that they're outside because they're outside of the wall. And it's the same what we did on the other plant that was on the window. You can't see it because, or it's a different colour because it thinks it's outside because of the way the windows are, which I don't understand why. It's a little bit of a strange one in there, but and just getting some plants in as well, and then that rug coming back into here, and a few other bits of sort of clutter and detail and pictures and things like that just in and around here. So this is actually going to be the last Sims for sort of build I do for a while. As of the next video, we will be starting a brand new project, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Obviously, if there is a new pack or a new big update or something like that, then there will be a build to sort of go with that, but I don't think there's going to be any until sort of closer to Christmas, so hopefully we should be able to do the two sort of in together. So lots to look forward to in there as well. But how much can we sort of squeeze all this over? In a little bit of artwork that they've maybe not hung up on the walls just yet. Just sort of waiting for it to be done. So yes, this new project is going to run pretty much from next sort of video all the way through to sort of Christmas and possibly into the new year as well. I know it's a little bit early to be talking about Christmas. We are just sort of coming up into our sort of autumn fall season, but anyone who knows me knows I am ahead and already sort of ideas for sort of Christmas sort of holiday builds, wintry kind of builds as well. I'm not somebody who loves Halloween or anything like that, so don't expect too many sort of Halloween sort of spooky builds. It's not really my thing, but we will have to see what we come up with. Right, last tiny little bit here. Right then, as we are on to this last little bit here, I will say farewell. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please do give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Tell me what your favourite thing is. Tell me what apartment to build next. Tell me if you're enjoying it, if you don't like it, why you're not liking it, why you are. I want to hear from you. What do you think? What do you feel? Let me know. And if you have enjoyed it, then please also subscribe to my channel. Each and every one of you means so much to me, and help grow this teeny tiny little channel as well in the here. But I will be back soon, as I say, with that brand new project that I'm slightly working on. But you can also follow me here on YouTube. You can follow me over on Twitch, where I'm over at MissKinghorn Builds, the same as here. You can follow me over on Twitter, where I'm over at MissKinghorn. You can join my Discord, which is the MKB Build Center. All of the links are down below in the description for you, so you can find out exactly all of my links in there as well. But I'm MissKinghorn on the Sims 4 gallery as well, so you can find me over there, and that will obviously have all of my builds for you over there, including this apartment. But for now, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you all again really, really soon. But until then, bye everyone!